So today's our first double day. So we went this morning at 8:30, and we'll go tonight at 7 under the lights down in the lower field in full gear. We're gonna get a little short yardage, goal line, work a little 2-minute overtime, situational stuff. I thought this morning, even though we slowed it down a little bit, it was extremely productive. Just a lot of situational work, a long individual period, and then as you guys saw post-practice, the way we cooled them down and stretched them out, just trying to get them ready to go for this evening. So I like where we're at, after 6 practices. And here's what was impressive to me today, and I hate to even say this stuff because I don't want to jinx myself, but I did tell the players this, is that a lot of time they thought we were going to come out this morning in full gear. We decided last night that we shouldn't, that we wanted to just ramp it up this evening. And I've been around teams that when you've done that and they've gone in and they've seen that the rest of the day has changed, the intensity just plummets and you have to get them going. And I didn't feel that at all today. Like, I felt like right from the get-go they were locked in and they were focused. And so, that to me just kind of shows a sign of what I hope is a mature or maturing football team. So it was good. So.
What's the thought process behind moving Darius to running back today?
Darius Pickett?
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, he was a really good running back in high school. We think that he's a guy that can contribute this year, and for sure on special teams. Just the way the depth is at defensive back, I don't know that he'd get in the rotation at defensive back. Running back is a spot where we're still looking for some depth, someone that can have an impact, and he seems like the perfect guy, and he's excited about it. If we can get him some snaps on offense and get him involved in special teams, then it's worth playing him as a freshman. And we are. We're looking for reasons not to redshirt guys rather than redshirt them. And Darius is an impact guy, and it just seems like that might be a better spot for him. After a few days, it might not be, but right now it looks like it might be. It's just a chance to give him a chance.
Did he come to you, or was it?
No, it was us. It was him. I mean, he certainly was open to it. I mean, I think that his quote to Coach Meat last night was, "I'll leave here the starter," and not in an arrogant type of way, but a determined type of way. And so I think he's excited about it. I'm looking at Jalen Ortiz walking off the field. He's doing a really good job at corner. Charles Dawson is doing a good job at the slot. So it's always kind of fluid, especially with those younger guys, because they did so much in high school. You got to find the right spot for him, and maybe this is the right spot for Pick. I know he's a good football player, and I know he's tough, and I know he's competitive. So.
Are you happy with what you've seen from Marcus Rios so far?
Yeah, Marcus Rios has done an outstanding job. We did our as a staff, about once every few days you go through your personnel and just talk about where you are as a team. And Coach Martin felt that he was one of the players that has shown the most improvement from the spring through the first 5 practices, which was yesterday's practice. So he's making plays. The guy that just keeps jumping out to me is, you guys are gonna laugh and think I'm full of crap, is Priest. I mean, there's no doubt the guy's a corner, just so everyone understands that. he's really doing a nice job. So.
What in the last few days has kind of confirmed that in your mind?
He's locked in. He's competing. He's making plays on the ball. He's running well. He understands it. He's more comfortable. I think his confidence level has really shot up. He's got to do it in games. But I just see him becoming more comfortable and more confident playing the position. And when you're long-legged like Priest and you're a corner, you have to learn how to compress yourself. And I think he's learning how to play with a narrower base and a lower center of gravity.
With Rios, was that expected, or was that unexpected given what he came back from, that he's come this far?
I don't know that if any of us knew what to expect with him. You kind of hope. Because you remember at the end of his freshman year, he was playing well.
Yeah.
And then he went through that amazing ordeal, and the way he's come back. I mean, I guess this, at some extent it's surprising, but then after you understand the fortitude that it's taken to come back from what he's come back from, it shouldn't surprise you that he's out here performing the way he is. I think, with like we talked about with Aaron Wallace, when something's taken away from you, and you're facing that crisis in your life and something you love to do, football, and he was faced with death even. I don't know, things maybe puts things in order, and this is something he loves to do, and you're seeing him work that way every day.
Anyone flash out to you yesterday with pads, practice and pads?
Matt Dickerson. We'll talk about maybe some of the younger guys. I knew the three scholarship defensive linemen are all doing a really good job. You know, right now we think that all three of those guys can help us this year. You know, and I knew will be a guy that we cross-train because he was a good tight end in high school. So, you know, we get into some of those packages that we use. He could be a fullback potentially, maybe a tight end. You know, we're trying to find ways to use him. We think he can be a nickel rusher, a 3 technique. Jacob is very athletic. Matt, you know, every day he goes down and they do that pass rush, he shows up and does some good things. Alex Van Dyke keeps getting better. I guess if you're talking about like when the pads went on, who kind of stood out, Kenny Young, you know, because now he could use that physicalness that he has and he'll smack you. Najee, you know, right now he's running with the first group at right guard. And he understands the game. It's not too big for him, and he plays with the level of violence that you like. So those are some of the guys, just off the top of my head.
What's been your impression at the 2 open linebacker spots?
I think it's just really fluid right now. You know, I think there's different ways you could go. You know, because you look at EK is going to be out there, and Miles is going to be out there. And then you've got to figure out the configuration that gives you the best chance to have success with the best players on the field. So is that Jayon and EK, with Jayon at Jack and EK at Mike? Or is it EK at Jack and Kenny Young at Mike, you know? Or is it, you know, Aaron Wallace or Kenny Orgioki? Deion Hollins is kind of a role player. I mean, he's going to play. He's looked really good. Cameron Judge is showing up. It's an impressive group of linebackers. So I think for us, we have to try to just lock into in the next 2 weeks is what's the best positioning of all those guys. It's a really good problem to have. Still concerned about the pass rush, though. You know, still concerned about an elite pass rusher. You saw that Cassius had a sack, AB had a sack.
Yeah.
So those guys, and I saw they both look pretty good. So it's not going to be easy to replace those guys. We've got to find it somewhere, though.
Is there a thought to maybe rotating those guys, or are they going to rotate a lot no matter what? And it's just maybe picking a starter isn't necessarily as important as.
I think if you're going to pick a starter, it's probably more for the individual's ego than the team, because you know, as many plays as we play on defense in this conference, guys have to play. And if we want to play as hard as we expect to play, then yeah, we're going to need to rotate guys. And then part of our job is to get guys a role. You know, you'd like everyone on your team to have a role. And that role might be, I'm a scout team player my freshman year, but it might be, you know, I'm a third down player, I'm a first down run player, I fit in this package, that package. I think more guys can feel that they're involved because they have a role on the team, you know, the more positive their experience is going to be.
You talked about Fabian's potential a lot in the spring, but have you seen anything different out of him in the fall, or any sort of improvement, especially that you've noticed?
I've seen improvement. Here's where Fabian looks more comfortable to me is at the point of attack, at the ball. When, you know, the moment of truth, here comes the ball, and he doesn't panic, you know, and that to me is a sign of a guy that's really gaining confidence as a corner. You see a lot of players throughout every level that have the skill set, they can run, they get themselves in good position. But then when the ball starts coming down, they panic. And Fabian has moved through that to the point where to me, he looks really comfortable with the ball. He just looks comfortable doing everything. So I think he's a really good player. I think he could be, as I said before, I've stated it, and maybe I overstated it at the time. I'm prone to that at times, but I just think he's a really good player, a really good player.
Do you have to remind yourself that he was a running back when he came here,
Yeah,
that he hasn't been a corner forever?
What was it, about a week in? Probably like right about this time 2 years ago that we moved him to corner. Yeah.
Seems like a good decision now.
I think it does for both of us, yeah, for him and for us. We've made, for the most part, pretty good decisions with regards to moving guys from offense to defense. I think for the most part they've worked out. But like I said earlier, you know, when you get these kids that in high school, they're the best player on their team, they play both ways. You might recruit them for a specific position, but you know, they get to this level and something's changed or the competition's different, and you flip them over to the other spot and they're better, you know. So I think that's certainly the case with Jalen and Charles Dawson. I mean, the club's a good. He's going to help us at slot. You know, he's got a little wiggle to him.
Tahan seems to be developing a reputation as the hard hitter on the team. Do you ever have to talk to him about not going too hard in practice and hurting teammates?
I sometimes worry about Tahan, not Tahan. I worry about Tahan because he is a violent player. I mean, he comes in there and he will get after it. Yeah, but I don't really have to remind him too much. I talked to the whole team about it, just taking care of each other, not cheap shotting. There's going to be collisions. They just have to understand the tempo of the drill. If everyone's playing at the same tempo, then we should be okay. But I guarantee you this: I'd much rather have to pull a guy off and pull him back than push him to go. And Tahan, you certainly don't have to push to go. He's got a violence to him.
Does it surprise you how quickly that depth seemed to materialize, the defensive back? It seems like now it's, a few years ago it was maybe a worry, and now it seems like there's not much concern at all.
Well, I'm concerned, but I think that what's been fun for me is to watch the guys that we consider the 4 starters come together, not just on the field but off the field. They're really close, and they have a really good chemistry, and that's so important at that position. It's like the offensive line. They have to work well together, and those 4 work well together. And then, to see Tahan through the end of last year kind of develop, and then through spring, and now where he's picking it up here in the summer, that's encouraging. Getting Marcos back, Rios, because he was developing a good player before he had that happen. That gives us depth. And then, like I said, Priest, so I'm thinking who I'm leaving out. I know there's 8 guys that I would have no problem putting on the field and feeling good about. So I'm trying to think who the 8th was.
But you're still worried?
Huh?
8 guys, that's pretty good.
That's okay. In this conference, you got to have guys, though, because they spread it out. So, yeah, it was Tahan, Priest, Marcos, Randall, Ish,
AJ.
Julio Wadood. That's it. Yeah, thank you. He's a good player, man. You see him and he's a little bit light and he's not the thickest guy in the world, but he has contact courage. A couple days ago when Nate was running down the sidelines, I don't know if you guys saw that. I mean, he's not afraid to put his chest on people. So, and he's got a lot of football intelligence. He's a good player.
Is he another one of those guys
you
guys talk about offense and defense?
Yeah, right now more defense. Yeah, I think I want him to get good at something and master something before we start moving him all over the place. But if he's a guy, if we need him to go over on offense and make some plays, then I think that he's capable of it. We could create a package. But right now, I think that we're in pretty good shape at that spot, that kind of that inside receiver spot.
Yeah.
Is there someone in the past that Julio reminds you of in terms of being able to play safety while being a little undersized?
Yeah, the guy at Seattle, Earl Thomas. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying he's Earl Thomas. I mean, that guy's a Super Bowl champion and an All-Pro, but kind of some similarities in terms of not a gigantic guy, a little bit undersized. Now, obviously, Earl is older and thicker, and Julio will get there, but he's do you guys remember Kevin Ross that used to play for the Kansas City Chiefs? Kevin was I got to work Kevin coming out of college, and Kevin was a little bit like Julio. He played for a long time, played in Pro Bowls. He was about 5'9", 5'10", real lean early in his career, filled out as he got older. But I think Julio's got a lot of skills, and he's smart, and he's like I said, he's got contact courage. He's not afraid to go in there and mix it up with the big guys.
Any injury updates, guys, you might get back tonight?
Zach Bornstein, probably get back. Not good news on Sam. Looks like he tore his ACL. They did the MRI. They were gonna do the MRI last night, but there was a backup at the local hospital, so we got him out of there. Looks like Cameron Griffin's probably gonna have his shoulder repaired. Duarte's probably a couple days away still. Malcolm, he worked a little today. He'll work tonight. He just strained his hip a little bit. He's okay. I put Ellis. Ellis was real sore. We put him on the bike. We just got to help Ellis get in a little bit better shape, and maybe drop a couple pounds. And so we're going to work hard on that because he's so big, and he's not fat. Ellis is not a fat guy. He's just a big guy. But it's hard on his knees carrying that weight. So we just have to monitor how we do it with him. You guys saw that Mossy was out there with the red jersey. I'm not a big fan of putting red jerseys on guys, because I think that if there's a tempo, you want to play at that tempo, but I think it's important that Mossy gets work. So we're just going to have to our defensive guys are going to have to take care of him. And they understand he's a good player, and so they'll do a good job of that. Jordan, he might be back this evening. If not this evening, then Monday, because tomorrow we're not practicing.
Alex Redmond?
Alex and Carl are both heat related things. So as soon as the nausea's gone and they're, you know, feeling better, we'll get them out here. I don't think that either of them will go this evening. I think it'd be better for them not to go this evening, get tomorrow off, and come back Monday ready to go. So tomorrow we're going to go up to Lake Arrowhead to Bruin Woods, and it should be a nice deal.
I know the news about Simon was out about him having surgery, but
Yeah.
what's kind of the plan? What do you see the plan for him for the rest of the season? Is there?
Yeah, I'll tell you what the plan is he had surgery yesterday. There was a couple bone spurs and some inflammatory tissue in there. They cleaned it out. Talked to him last night. He was in pain, but he feels better. The doctors think that that's really going to help him. I told Simon that he needs to have the mindset that he's going to be prepared to go for the third game of the year. You know, I want him ready to go. I don't want to redshirt him. I want him to play. He's a good football player, you know, and it's been a tough road for him lately. But if we just think back to his freshman year, and he's a good player, you know, and I think at some point we're going to need him. So Connor worked a little bit today, McDermott. Same thing with Connor, you know, with that shoulder. You can't overdo it or it's going to break again, and I don't want it to break. You know, I think we're taking a little bit different tact with our offensive line this year because it is a good group and there are some good players and we don't want to lose them. We just have to be a little bit more conscious of where they're at physically and not grinding them into the ground.
It was Simon's ankle.
Last one, guys.
It was his ankle. He had
Something totally different.
Yeah, he had some bone spurs in his ankle, and so that was really bothering him, and they got it out of there.
Thanks,
So,
Jim.
okay, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks.